is joining. We'll just wait for Dr. Neelam to join us and then we'll begin the live.
Yeah, I'm there.
Welcome, Dr. Neelam. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, so we'll wait for a couple of more people to join.
Yeah,
And for those of who are here, I'll just do a quick introduction of Dr. Neelam. She was our COVID warrior for our Valentine's campaign. That's how we reached out to her. She is a microbiologist with Rajiv Gandhi Cancer Hospital, New Delhi. And as we know that last year, Rajiv Gandhi Cancer Hospital was converted into a COVID hospital. She has the first-hand experience of being at the forefront and dealing with all this. So, uh, welcome again, Dr. Neelam. Would you like to take the stage and tell our listeners about your work?
yeah, sure. I'm actually a microbiologist working in a cancer hospital. So in a cancer hospital, things are a little different what goes on in another hospital because
Yeah.
in other hospitals, we usually have healthy people. But in
Yeah.
a cancer hospital, all the patients are immunocompromised, so their immune system is very weak. So we have to do a lot to prevent infections because a patient who is being treated with cancer and he's promised a lifespan of around 5 years or 6 years, but then after 6 months, if he dies of infection, that is not the right thing. And we can't even claim that we are state-of-the-art cancer hospital because this is also one part of it. So this is an important part. So I look after that part also. So prevention of infection along with the microbiology work, this is what I really do. So for that you need, like a lot of work. I keep on doing it. Like you counsel the patients, you counsel the attendants, and you teach the attendants also along with. Because unless and until they take the patients, when they take the patient home, they take care of that patient, especially when infection is concerned. So everything will go in vain because in hospital it's okay, we are taking care. But then what about at home? And it is not that cancer patients are always at hospital only. So they are at
Yeah.
home also. So off and on they keep on coming. So reshuffling is there, sometimes at the hospital, sometimes at home. So they have to take care. So teaching
Yeah.
them is also one part which is important. So training patient as well as attendants, both.
You told us a cute nickname your staff calls you at the hospital.
They call
Can you
me
tell?
infection control wali madam. Like
Yeah.
the moment you enter,
Yeah.
they'll say, ask somebody, ki, can we meet Dr. Neelam Sachdeva? They'll say, and they'll say, okay, with the green eyes. They'll say, acha, acha, infection control ki madam. And then they'll,
Yeah.
like whosoever has come to meet me, they'll take him or her to my room. So that is the scene. So that is the
So,
name. Infection control ki madam, as if I'm causing infection. Actually, it is like prevention of infection, but they call me like that
yeah.
only.
So we'll get the elephant of the room and let's talk about the vaccination thing. So we asked our viewers to send us their hesitancies, what they have heard people, talk about that why they're not getting vaccinated. And actually, one of our own staff members had this hesitancy that he booked the slot and he still couldn't, get himself to go to the center because he was sort of afraid of some allergy or something. So why don't you begin with talking a little bit about vaccination and what does it do to our body, and yeah, then we'll take forward the hesitancies.
Yeah, I'll just tell you that, like lot of vaccinations are available. We had been taking it since our childhood. And same thing has been done with our parents also. And same thing we have done it ourselves. And same thing is like with the kids also. So, like, I'm a mother of two girls. So, surely, like, everybody was vaccinated in their childhood, and all the vaccines usually have their efficacy as 70%, which means that they cannot actually prevent the disease, but they can protect you from the disease. Prevention is
Yeah.
like 100%, you will not get the disease, but none of the vaccination is up to that mark. It is only one vaccine which has now been made for COVID, which is by Pfizer and Moderna, and they are claiming that it is giving you a 90% protection. That is there, but then none of the vaccination claims it as prevention. So one story ends here that there are few people who say that कि vaccination क्यों लेना है when we get the disease again. So let me clear it. All the vaccines which you have already taken had always given you 70% protection only. Only thing is we have never read much against it because we were not very keen, and this has been going since years together, since like your grandma had, your mother had, and then you as a kid also had it. So that was one story, and we were not very much bothered about it. We all had side effects with that vaccine also, because off and on we used to get fever कि छोटा बच्चा है, he can't explain, but the doctor always used to tell कि एक दिन के लिए बुखार आएगा, he will not be able to move his leg also, or it will be stiff. So those things had always been there. Now, since for the COVID-19 disease, what we have learned is usually for a vaccine to be formed, it takes around 10 years. Okay, since it really comes into the markets and from the process until it comes into the market, and different stages are there, different phases are there. Phase 1, 2, 3, like it goes on. So phase 1 is like they'll be trying it only 10 people and they'll look for the side effect. 2 is they want to see the efficacy, and 3 is efficacy and side effects together, and it takes around 10 years. And last 1 year is marketing, and then how are we going to distribute it and who will carry, that is the one thing which goes. But here,
Yeah.
what has happened is because of the global pandemic, we had to, like hasten everything together. So phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, everything was together. And at the same time, they got the approvals at the same time, similar time, like who is going to maintain the logistic part, who's going to deliver it, how are we going to distribute. So everything like went on like that, and that was in 10 months itself. So 10 years versus 10 months was the thing which has happened. So people have doubt anything which we
Yeah.
used to prepare before in 10 years and now we have made it in 10 months itself. So it cannot be good. See, let me clear that whenever a vaccine comes into the market, it has a lot of trials. And then and
Yeah.
only then it comes into the market, because if there are a lot of side effects, definitely people are not going to take, which was not the motto. We want most of it should be taking it, and they should be feeling, like secured with it. If they will have side effects and more of them are there, then nobody is going to take that vaccine.
So,
So doubts are.
sorry to interject you, ma'am. As you said, that people have this doubt that it's only taken 10 months to as compared to the 10 years to for this vaccine to come into the market, and a lot of people have this question, including my one of the few most educated people I know in my own circles. They also have these questions. So, how do we sort of tell them that uh, that this is okay?
Actually, like it used to be phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 trials, and used to go on for years together, and people were being followed, and then they used to tell, ki, like, these are the side effects which are going to have it, and this is how the progress will be. But here, we couldn't even wait for those 10 years, and you can imagine if COVID continues like that for 10 years, and we wait for the vaccine in the process the way we had it before, like 10 years. So you can imagine the damage which is going to be there, because vaccines actually save you. They cannot prevent, but they always protect you. So majority of the
Yeah.
people will not land up. But whenever the vaccine is formed like this in a shortened time, so what happens is everything goes together. Rather than you finish your phase 1, then we go into 2 and then into 3, everything was together. And all the approvals, normally they take longer time, but here we couldn't wait. So approvals were also at the same time. So all different 6 processes were going simultaneously, and that's how, like in 10 months, we could have the vaccine. But it is not that 10 years versus 10 months. So safety guidelines are not there, or it is not safe, or do you think side effects will be more? It is not like that. They have followed that protocol, and then and only then it has come into the market, because otherwise, lot of people will get up and claim कि मुझे ये problem होगी, मुझे ये problem होगी, and you have to pay the price for it. So nothing of this kind is
Yeah.
there. It is safe.
I think that's a very comforting thing to for me also to listen, because I also had some of this doubt that it's come so early in the market and what if it's not effective enough. And another question I have is why is there this vaccination process is in two phase? Like we are taking first dose and then second dose.
See, I'll tell you one thing. When we different vaccines, they give you a different type of protection. One is when we give one vaccine, you'll have small amount of antibodies are formed. In fact, in initial 1 week, you'll find there is dip in the antibody levels because whatever the existing is present. So this will combine with that and will lower the antibody levels or lower your immune system a little bit, and then it starts making antibodies. Okay, because usually 2 weeks time is there for your antibodies to be formed against the disease. And second dose is actually called as the booster dose. It will raise your immune system to a higher level. So
All right.
few vaccines have got 2 doses, few vaccines have got 3 doses also. Like when we take hepatitis B, we need 3 doses. That is, 0 is today you take, then you take after 1 month, and then you take after 6 months. So whatever the amount of antibodies are required to prevent the disease, you check that up, and then you find that we should be taking it 2 doses or we need 1 dose. There are some vaccines where we need only 1 dose, like we take BCG only once in our lifetime. But here it is like with 2 doses, we get the immune system which can actually protect you from the disease.
All right. That's great answer. So as a doctor yourself, have you come across certain of these? I would not call them absurd, but maybe genuine sort of hesitancies from people regarding the vaccination
Yeah,
from
I
your family
have.
members, colleagues, or your general patients. So,
Yeah,
how was
general
that like?
patients also, and a lot of my colleagues, like few of them are there who are not interested, and they keep on saying, like it leads to number of disorders are there. It may cause infertility, and like one day, the first day itself, when we started vaccinated, and one of the security person was very sick and aims, so people thought ki vaccination nahi lena hai because he was sick and he went to ICU, and then this is not a good thing. See, I'll tell you one thing. When we make the vaccination process is going on, we are following 10 people, then 100 people, and then 10,000. This is what is phase 1, 2, 3. That's how the trial goes on. We have studied only 10,000 people, and maybe by chance they were just healthy who came actually for the trial, because everybody doesn't sacrifice their body for the trial. Okay, and you need live body. Unless and until that live thing is there, we cannot see the side effects and we cannot follow them, and we can't even tell you. So you need live bodies, live human beings should be there. So maybe those 10,000 were just healthy people, they never had any disorder. So when we made the vaccine, and we never had any time to follow up, take a follow up for a year or 2 or 5 years, nothing of that kind was there. Follow up was there only for 5 to 6 months. That's all. So we can give you an update also about that, because we followed up. We have taken the follow up only for 5 months. Okay. So maybe those 10,000 were just healthy individuals and nothing happened in that. But when we started vaccinating people, if they have an already existing disease, we gave him a vaccination. We vaccinated him on that day. Maybe by chance that he was going to have some disease on that day itself, like a coincidence was there and that got activated, or he just had it by chance on the same day, which actually was blamed for vaccination. But it is not like this, like that
All right.
security person I'm talking about. He actually had a cardiac disease. When we gave him a vaccination, that was just that his disease, not even an activated kind, he was already, this was an impending thing. He was about
Okay.
to have it only. It was by chance that he got vaccination that day, and he had the similar attack also. So he linked it to the vaccination, but ideally it was his own cardiac disease which happened to be on that day itself. So manifestations were going to be there even if he wouldn't have been vaccinated. So
So you're
similarly,
saying that
like
vaccination does not sort of activate any underlying illnesses or any allergies or anything.
nothing of that kind is
So
there. You do have some side effects, but they are there only for around 48 hours or so. Usually, in few, they disappear in 24 hours itself. You may like extend to 48 hours, and after 48 hours are usually majority of the people are normal. Normally vaccinations don't interfere with any of the disorder or any of the
Yeah.
pre-existing disease which you have. Few
Because
people,
it's
like if
a
they have blood pressure may differ sometime. That is the only thing which has happened. Like what we have observed is few people had fever with chills, few people had
yeah.
body ache or headache, few people had weakness for 48 hours, few people never had anything, they were just absolutely normal. And there is another theory which is coming up is like few people have clots and all. So that could be like they have pre-existing disease which is related to the blood. So blood disorders are there, and when the vaccination was given they have just observed it, or it could be that they really had some like some changes or some clot like things have happened. But look at the population. If we count like we have a population 120 crore, suppose even 1 crore is vaccinated and there are 5 people, so 5 versus 1 crore, even if they have, so imagine, like 99 lakhs 9,099 minus 5 994, they were absolutely normal, they never had anything. So like 5 versus those rest, do you think in nahi lena chahiye vaccination? You can't say
Yeah, that's
no.
the most convincing number.
And what we have seen in the second era, like in the second wave, people who were vaccinated, they never went to ICU, versus those people who were not vaccinated, they went to ICU. Few people had actually died also. Few people were there on the ventilator. They came back, but they are in the bad states. So vaccinated versus like non-vaccinated people, there was a difference in the scenario. This is what we had
All right.
observed, even healthcare workers also.
So before going for vaccination, do you recommend any sort of checkups or anything the person should be careful of? Like if I am diabetic, for example, so should I be, taking any precautions, or if I have any particular kind of allergies in my body, or any sort of these common disorders, if I have, should I be concerned before going to the vaccination center?
Nothing, nothing. You don't need to bother for all these things, because, in fact, if you're diabetic, if you're hypertensive, all the more reason that you are an immunocompromised individual and you need to take vaccination. One story. Another is you don't need to bother for all these things. Only thing is, when you're going for vaccination, you must be full stomach. Eat full and then take a vaccination. That's all. Don't go empty stomach. Those people also invariably they inquire and then you go and eat something over there. So it's better have your breakfast and then go ahead for vaccination. That's
All
the
right.
only requirement. Don't take it empty stomach, because that will actually, it is placebo types. Like if you're not having food, you feel something, तो तुम्हें लगता है कि चक्कर आ रहे हैं and giddiness sort of thing is there. But otherwise, vaccination does not lead to anything. Few people may have some disturbances in their blood pressure, which we have seen. It may either shoot up a little or it may go down a little, but that is there only for 24 hours. And you don't need to bother for it that you need to take any extra dose, or don't stop your medications at all. Take all those medications, whatever you had been taking it. और उतनी ही डोज
All
लेनी
right.
है, ऐसा नहीं है कि लाइक अगर ब्लड प्रेशर थोड़ा सा शूट कर गया तो यू नीड टू डू समथिंग एल्स या आपको डोज बढ़ानी है, कुछ भी नहीं करना है. विद इन 24 to 48 hours you will be absolutely normal.
So, what if someone has COVID symptoms and they have not tested actually positive and they have the symptoms? Maybe they have a fever or cough or some intestinal symptoms. So, what about them? Should they also be going and taking the vaccine?
See, I'll tell you one thing. Antibodies which are produced by the vaccine and antibodies which are produced by the live disease are entirely different. So it is better that they get themselves tested. If COVID is negative, they can vaccinate themselves the same day, and cough and all that doesn't make any difference. But they should be COVID negative. And if they had the disease, they can wait for 3 months and then they themselves should be vaccinated. So why I'm telling you 3 months? Because they have antibodies which will be protected for those 3 months. And then it is better to take vaccination, because these two antibodies are entirely different. Okay. The one which we get it with a live vaccination, and the one basically one with the live disease and one with vaccination. So those with the vaccination, we are going to give you protection for a longer time rather than one with the disease. Now, one with the disease actually produces two different type of, in fact, number of antibodies are produced. There are few which are protective and there are few which are useless, but they are produced and they are not protective at all. But we need specific antibodies. So what we need to do is, irrespective of that you had COVID-19 and you may think कि I'm like a vaccinated part, ऐसा नहीं है, because you have useful and useless antibodies and we need only useful and targeted. So we need to get vaccination after 3 months after you have recovered from your COVID disease.
So that also answers the question when people say that I already had COVID, why do I need to get vaccinated?
They need to, because both the antibodies are entirely different.
Yeah, all right. So we asked our audience and followers to send us in a question sticker form, to send us their hesitancies and the myths, whatever they have heard, which is stopping people to take this right step of getting vaccinated. So I would take a few of them with you. So one person has asked, is it safe to take the vaccine since people are talking about getting clots due to vaccination?
It is safe because the percentage of clot is, like one is they haven't even investigated much whether he had pre-existing disorder or not. Even if we think that it is a side effect, percentage is too low. So it is better not to hear about all these things, because one case is there and people are so active nowadays with the news and WhatsApp and Facebook and everything, and they keep on reading about all this. So this message, even if it was only with one person, that keeps on circulating and that actually creates a nuisance. So don't listen to all those things. Vaccination is an important part and you must take it.
And that's good. And one person had asked that it messes up women's menstrual cycle, like they have probably the periods and stuff.
It doesn't have to do anything with the menstrual cycle at all. Even if you are menstruating, you can go and get yourself vaccinated. ऐसा कुछ भी लेना देना नहीं होता है इसका.
All right. And someone said that they've heard people say that vaccinations can alter the DNA of the person. So if you're having children, they'll have some disorder or something.
Nothing of this kind is there. See, a lot of rumors are there, but maybe sometimes after years together, if it comes out to be true, I really don't know. But even if it is altering, then it will be same for everyone if we all are vaccinated. So you don't need to bother for your own. It is with everyone. So a main purpose today is safeguard yourself, and that can be done only with vaccination and with nothing else. What we have seen in second wave is majority of the oldies were saved, or even if they got the disease, like they got the infection after vaccination also, they never went to ICU. So this clearly indicates that vaccination is the only thing which is going to save you. So best is to vaccinate yourself and safeguard yourself. What is going to happen in years together, we really don't know. Main है कि if you get the disease and you die, then हम DNA alteration के लिए you need years and years together, or maybe in the next generations you get it. Okay. Or maybe when you grow old after 20 years, there are some DNA changes which are going to take place. But what if you are not safe today? So best is safeguard yourself today, get yourself vaccinated, save yourself, and forget about what is going to happen in next 20 years. So future is not the kind, because you can't even predict कि आपका future में आप जिंदा हो या नहीं हो. तो आज जिंदा रहना, अपने आप को जिंदा रखना is more important, and go ahead with the wave. We are in the storm. Everyone has his own boat, but then you have to be with the flow. You cannot just go against in the storm. And you can imagine if you're going against the storm, what is going to happen. So best is vaccinate, and vaccinate yourself.
One doubt I would like to pick up is someone has said that different blood groups have sort of different susceptibility towards COVID vaccines. Is it true?
And no, nothing at all. Nothing. It's just that, see, there are no filters now. So everyone is, like observing something, and then they are writing a paper or they are posting on Facebook. And since like no filtration is there, so a lot of shit is also there on the Facebook. So forget about all these things. It doesn't have to do anything with blood groups. We all had been vaccinated. तो ऐसा कुछ था कि ओ ब्लड ग्रुप है तो कुछ ज्यादा सेंसिटिविटीज आ जाएंगी, ये होगा तो कुछ ज्यादा आ जाएगा, ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है. Nothing of this kind is there. Few
All
people have
right. One
observed
last,
and they have written a paper.
yeah, one last doubt I'll pick up is what about people who are pregnant? Women who are pregnant, and is it safe for them to get vaccinated?
See, actually, yes. I've read a lot of papers, and Pfizer and Moderna, like they have actually experimented all these things with pregnant and lactating women also, and they've said that it is safe to take the vaccine. So there, they had been vaccinating them, and here I've seen few females taking vaccine over here in India also, pregnant women also, because that they have observed is कि if the woman is taking vaccine, the child is also safe. Because what we have seen is there were 2, 3 females who were pregnant. They were carrying their babies, and when their babies were born, even they had the COVID disease. So just to prevent that, we really don't know immediately after that, as she was having COVID at that time when she delivered, it was just that exposure, the baby had it after the delivery or it was inside. Really, nothing is known. But then, baby was tested after 48 to 72 hours, and the baby was found to be positive. So, what they had been recommending that the pregnant woman should be taking 2 doses of COVID-19 before she is about to deliver.
Mr. Pushpinder in the comments here have asked this question that there are so many vaccine, brands. So Moderna, Pfizer, as you're mentioning, and Covishield, etc. So he's asking which one is better. So would you like to take that?
See, in India, only 2 are available. Pfizer and Moderna are there only in US, and they are actually to be preserved at minus 70 or minus 80 degrees centigrade, and we cannot even maintain that temperature over here in India. So we cannot have that, is unapproachable. So uska sensitivity bhi acha hai, so we cannot have that. So forget about that. What we have available over here in India is Covishield and Covaxin, and both of them are good. Covishield is actually what we have picked up is we have picked up a spike protein, which is actually a part of the virus, COVID virus. So we've taken that, and we have uh, actually used adenovirus. That this is another type of virus, but that is a mild type. We have taken the shell of adenovirus and spike protein of COVID-19, and we have inserted COVID-19, the spike protein of COVID-19 into the adenovirus shell, and that is actually introduced into our body. Whereas Covaxin is actually, we've taken the whole virus and we have killed it so that antigenicity is maintained, but then pathogenicity is destroyed. So both of
All right.
them have got a different mechanism, but both cannot cause the disease on you. So vaccine is not going to induce the disease. This is one thing which I really wanted to tell you. And both the vaccines are of equal caliber. They give you around 70 to 74% protection. So both are good, and we are approachable to both. We can take
All
any of them.
right. One other question I'd like to pick. Two people have asked this that if I took the first dose of Covaxin, can I take the Covishield for the second one, or vice versa?
It is better not to mix the two things together because the mechanism of action, as I told you, is entirely different. One is spike protein in adenovirus gel, which is like Covishield, and another one is kill virus. So when you mix the 2 doses together, like you've taken Covaxin and now you want Covishield, the antibody production will be entirely different, and it may actually neutralize the pre-existing dose. So rather than getting a boost up of immune system, it may actually reduce your antibodies. So it is better that you take Covishield. If you're taken first dose as Covishield and second also as Covishield, or if it is Covaxin, then second also Covaxin, so that it is going to boost up your immune system.
All right. I hope that answers Apurva's and Sunny's question. We have another question from the comments. Will we need a vaccine shot every year?
I think with the variants around, we may be needing booster dose, maybe 6 monthly, because what we have observed is that since we couldn't do the follow up for a longer time, what we have seen is like it's been around 6, 7 months, we've seen that antibodies are waning off. whatever we have taken, like healthcare workers had taken the vaccination in around January, and the second dose was 20 days after the first one. They were the first ones actually to take this, and that time the schedule was 28 days after. So what we have seen that antibody levels which were being done 4 weeks after the second dose, and now when they have got it done after 4 months, so antibodies are waning off, which means that one is we need to do a follow up for a longer
Yeah.
time so that we know for how long it is going to be there. And another thing is, do we need a booster after 6 months or 1 year? But definitely, till this pandemic becomes a epidemic, pandemic is like it's prevalent all over the different countries. Okay, epidemic is that it becomes prevalent in one small areas only, and there they'll be keep on having those diseases, but it'll not be like कि पूरी इंडिया में ही है पर इंडिया के कुछ कॉर्नर्स में ये डिजीज रह जाएगी, तो इट विल बी लाइक एन एपिडेमिक इन दैट एरिया, ऑफ एंड ऑन वहां पे होता रहेगा, but rest of the country will be covid free unless and only few people will be coming from this. Then since herd immunity will be there, so people will become like a dead, they'll behave like a dead end, and they will not spread the disease, and they won't even have the disease. So it'll be prevalent only in one area itself. So that could be one reason. तो ऐसा जब हो जाएगा तो maybe 6 months or 1 year, and later on we may need also, we may not need also, ये भी हो सकता है. So since the disease is new, everything is new, we don't know much about it, and all the studies are going on, and time has been lesser, like it's just been 1 year, and we don't know much about it, so everything has to be followed. Maybe after another year or two, we'll be able to say more about it. But abhi at present, we can't say. But abhi ka jitna bhi scenario and the way the antibodies are going down, I think we may need another booster in October, November types, which actually
All
US,
right.
since they have completed their population with the vaccination part, जिनको भी चाहिए था जितनी भी population को, they've already completed, and they are talking about October. In our country, I really don't know what is going to be the scenario because we haven't even completed our first doses with majority of the people. It's just 2
Yeah.
crore versus 120 crore. So I don't know. Can we talk about the booster at this time or no?
Let's hope we more and more people get vaccinated immediately. We have one more question I'd like to take from Bhav B. It says, should we take any medicines immediately after the vaccine? So,
You can take actually with the vaccine. What we have seen is there are few people who are having side effects, and what we have observed it has been more in females. Female majority of the females had fever, chills, and rigors. 3 to 4 hours after, you can take either crocin or paracetamol like that, or any of the painkiller, whatever you feel like. You can take that, and you can continue for 24 to 48 hours also. After every 8 hours, prophylactically you can take so that you don't get any of the symptoms. This is what I had done. At first, when I took the first dose, I never knew what is going to happen, and we were amongst the first few. Like on 16 January, we started with the vaccination, and I took it on 18 Jan. I really don't know what is going to happen with me, but then still we were interested that we must take it because that is the one which is going to safeguard you. So I had fever with chills and rigors, and it went on for 24 to 48 hours, and it was really very bad. But then with the second dose, I learned that what I'm supposed to do because it's going to be there again for another 48 hours. So 4 to 6 hours after I had my vaccination, I started with like paracetamol, and then after every 8 hours for 48 hours, I took around 5 6 tablets, and I was okay with it because first time experience was bad with me.
all right. So
So they
another
can take.
question. Yeah. So to answer your question, at Bhavbi, you can take medicines after the vaccination. Another question we have from Sunny: how safe will it be to vaccinate kids below 12?
See, no studies have been conducted. So I can't even tell you that we should be taking it or we should not be taking it because nobody has conducted the studies. They have just conducted it from 16-year onwards. But here in
All
India,
right.
they are just giving the vaccinations from 18 years and above. So no idea at all. So I can't comment on this, whether it'll be safe or it won't be, or we'll have something different for the kids. So no idea at all.
So
Still in the
I hope that
pipeline.
answers your question. That was a very great way of addressing these doubts and myths and hesitancies, I have two more questions. One is how, as you know, like laymen and normal people who cannot talk in the medical terms of pathogens and these terms, how do we convince people? How can we take a step to sort of help and convince people to get vaccination?
See, basically one is your own local language which people can understand. तो
Yeah.
उसमें आपको लोगों को सिर्फ ये बताना है कि देखिए इतने सारे वैक्सीन हम बचपन से आज तक ले रहे हैं, सबकी एफिकेसी 70% है, क्योंकि लोगों को ये डाउट है कि ये तो 70% प्रोटेक्शन देता है। सी 70% भी बहुत अच्छा है, क्योंकि वो आपको आईसीयू में नहीं लेके जाएगा। तो ये आपको एक्सप्लेन करना है वन। और वैक्सीनेशन हमेशा सेफ्टी के साथ ही बनाए जाते हैं और तभी मार्केट में आते हैं। अगर ऐसा कुछ होगा तो वो मार्केट में नहीं आएंगे, चाहे वो 10 years है या 10 months है, बट सेफ्टी प्रिकॉशंस के साथ इट इज है। वॉट एवर द केमिकल्स हैव बीन यूज्ड, ऐसा नहीं है कि वो आपको कुछ साइड इफेक्ट कॉज करने वाले हैं। तो वैक्सीनेशन लेना है, एंड यू कैन ऑलवेज शेयर योर ओन पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंस व्हाट वी people have already seen in the second wave itself. First wave was okay, लोगों को ज्यादा symptoms नहीं थे, but second wave was very bad, and तब तक लोगों को vaccination and non vaccinated का difference भी पता चल गया। तो that you can quote, मैं ही तुम्हें अपनी फैमिली में बताती हूँ। one of my चाची जी is there and she's around like 56-57 years, उनको वैक्सीनेशन नहीं दिया गया था एंड शी गॉट कोविड। उनकी पूरी फैमिली में ही था, बट उनको सबसे ज्यादा सिम्टम्स आए। बाकी लोग थे वो एक एक वैक्सीनेशन ले चुके थे, बट इन्होंने नहीं लिया। तो अल्टीमेटली शी वॉज इन अ बैड स्टेट। वो आईसीयू में गई, मतलब शी कुड कम बैक, शी इज लाइव नाउ, बट शी वेंट टू आईसीयू एंड शी वॉज इन अ वेरी बैड स्टेट, एंड 3-4 हफ्ते शी वॉज देयर इन द हॉस्पिटल इटसेल्फ इन अ बैड स्टेट। Same way, like my father was there and he was vaccinated, complete vaccination with 2 doses. उनके भी फैमिली में हुआ, like मेरी सिस्टर के यहाँ सबको हुआ. But then only thing is he had a mild course of the disease. He came to the hospital, oxygen level went down, but then oxygen demand wasn't much. 2-3 लीटर लिया. तो कुछ ये वाले एग्जाम्पल्स कोट करके, and you can always say कि एक 56 years non-vaccinated in a bad state, 82 years vaccinated, and mild course of the disease was there. Just prophylactically we took him to the hospital ki thoda sa oxygen level was low. With the age we were little afraid of. तो ये कुछ चीजें जब आप उनको बताओगे तो आई एम श्योर दे कैन अंडरस्टैंड कि इट इज इम्पोर्टेंट, आपको वैक्सीन लेना चाहिए, ये इम्पोर्टेंट है। अगर आप नहीं लोगे तो एटलीस्ट नथिंग इज गोइंग टू सेव यू फ्रॉम गेटिंग द डिजीज। डिजीजेस ये इतनी ज्यादा इन्फेक्शियस है कि पहले क्या था, लास्ट वेव में वी यूज्ड टू से कि 15 minutes of exposure is important. But now it is no more like this. In this wave, 5 minutes, in fact 2 to 5 minutes, and virus is so infectious that you catch it. So 2 to 5 minutes and it is done. And usually virus अगर किसी फैमिली में आया तो पूरी फैमिली was involved with this disease.
Yeah, so I think to
Quote the
quote examples,
examples and go ahead with it.
yeah, quote examples and go ahead in convincing people to take the
हाँ,
right step. We
yes.
have one question from Ruchi Chopra. I think you have taken this, but I'll just still read it for the sake of. Yeah. So she says there are people saying that vaccine has antibodies, and your body naturally will. I'm sorry, and your body naturally will not make antibodies after 2 years or so. What is your say? So she's saying that if you take the vaccine, your body will naturally stop making antibodies. Is
It will not stop making antibodies. In fact, when we give vaccine, it behaves like an antigen in your body, and your body automatically makes antibodies for anything. When we talk about even allergy, अभी जैसे हम बात कर रहे थे कि we have allergy. Now allergy people में क्या होता है कि whenever there is a season of pollen grains, so those pollen grains actually behave like an antigen. They are like a foreign antigen. So whenever a foreign antigen enters into your body, it is an automatic thing that your body will recognize it and will produce antibodies. And there is something called memory cells. So this is being recognized and kept in your memory cells. So whenever again this antigen will enter into your body, those memory cells will get activated and it will send those antibodies at the area where it has entered, and they try to neutralize the virus. So it is not that body will stop producing antibodies. It's nothing to do with it. It will
all
produce
right?
antibodies and it keeps on producing it. Body has got a tremendous capacity to identify different antigens and produce antibodies.
All right. I hope that answers your question, Ruchi. We have another question from Shivani. She's asking vaccination after 3 months or 1 month of COVID recovery. I think you have taken
Three
it. You have
months.
mentioned
It
three
is
months.
three
Yeah.
months after, because for 3 months, your these antibodies with the disease which you have made it, your body has made it actually, this is going to give you a protection. So you are safe. So 3 months after you can get your vaccination done.
All right. We have another question. It says, is it true we shouldn't sleep with our AC on the same day as we get vaccinated? I
No,
don't know where.
it doesn't have to do anything with it. Nothing of this
Yeah.
kind is there. You can keep the AC on, sleep comfortably. पता चला गर्मी के मौसम with no AC and then तब आपकी तबीयत खराब हो गई and then you'll be blaming vaccination. So nothing of this kind. आपको अगर बुखार भी हो रहा है AC on है तो it is good. आप वैसे भी तो पट्टियां लगाते हो ना ठंडे पानी की whenever you have
Yeah.
fever just to bring it down. AC का इससे कुछ लेना देना नहीं है. आप कभी भी ऑन कर सकते हो और कभी भी रह सकते हो आराम से. Nothing of
I
this.
hope that answers your question. I would like to ask you one more question that as you mentioned that there is a lot of fake information and absurd information is doing rotations on several social media platforms. So can you tell our followers and viewers some of the trusted portals which they can go to read about this and if they're
Um,
curious
they can go to
and
COVID.
websites.
They can go to WHO, they can go to UNICEF or CDC. So they give you the exact information actually. But like what people are writing different type of papers, because I told you there are no filters. Nobody is checking them up and everybody is writing on WhatsApp and Facebook and all. And you don't know who's actually making it. If you go about, जब हम कुछ jokes पढ़ते हैं, who's the one who is writing it? There are few people who are actually hired for this purpose. So you don't know कि they are sending you all these informations also. So it is better you go to WHO site or you go to CDC or you go to UNICEF or Indian site is also there, COVID is there. So you can go ahead with that and you can read about the vaccine.
All right, Bhavika has asked one more question. People should we do any exercise, heavy physical work on the day of vaccination after getting vaccinated, or we should avoid any physical activity?
Just
Like,
avoid it for 24 hours. It doesn't make any difference
all
because
right,
few people have side effects with it. So it is better like for 24 to 48 hours, just don't do anything. Like the exercise kind of thing, but then normal routine activities will go on. You don't need to stop it with that. But exercise, you can keep it. If you can withhold it for a day or two.
great. That was, I think, amazing. You addressing all these hesitancies. Would you like to give any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I'll just actually say that vaccination is not for the prevention of disease. It is actually for protection. So don't think of कि if I've taken a vaccination, it is going to actually prevent the disease from getting inside. So nothing of that kind is going to happen, and this is true for all the vaccines. जो अभी तक बचपन से भी अभी तक आपने लिए हैं उन सबके साथ में भी यही था. It was never a prevention. It has always been a protection part. So vaccination is a must, and you all must take so that you don't land up in ICU. And we have seen a lot of our patients and a lot of healthcare workers, because they were vaccinated, they were working in the COVID ward. They never went to ICU, and even if they had infection after vaccination, only thing is the disease was very mild. It was more like cough, cold, and that's all. And then like no demand of oxygen and nothing going on ventilator, which we had seen with other people who were not vaccinated. You can imagine we never saw much of the oldies in this space. 50 years and 60 years and 70 years and above, they were not there in this second wave itself. It was more of what 18 to 45 type wala people were there who were not vaccinated. So which indicates clearly that vaccination is a must and we must take it. This is what I always want to say.
All right, guys. So hashtag take the right step. And for those of who are here, I would request you that OCD has this very amazing campaign where you can send them your picture of getting vaccinated, and we will send you a gift voucher of 1,000 rupees. That's our way of appreciating your right step. and hope this session was good with Dr. Neelam and it answered some of your queries and hesitancies. Thank you all for joining, and I would like to extend my thanks to you, Dr. Neelam. Thank you so much for taking out time to do this and address these hesitancies, because it's people genuinely had doubts, and thank you so much. And on that
Yeah.
note, we would close it.
Yeah, thank you, Oceedee, actually for like choosing me, and I hope I have tried to solve everyone's like I could actually convince people for vaccination. I should say you all must get yourself vaccinated. What is going to happen in next few years? Forget about that. Safeguard yourself. Your life is very important for us. Present is more important than that of future. So be careful about your present. क्या होने वाला है डीएनए में क्या होगा that will be with everyone. तो जो चीज
Yeah.
सबके साथ होने वाली है you don't need to bother for that. At present, what is going to happen? At present, what is going to save you? And that is the only answer is vaccination. So you must. So safeguard yourself, be healthy, and be safe.
Can you please say our campaign hashtag once, hashtag take the right step, and then we'll close the live on that note.
Do it.
Can you please say to the viewers hashtag take the right step, and then we'll close the live on that.
Yeah, sure. Hashtag take the right step.
All
Shall we
right,
with
guys.
OCD?
Yeah. All right, guys.
Okay, take
Uh,
the right step with OCD.
Thank you so much, everyone,
Yeah,
for
sure.
joining, and thank you, Dr. Neelam. It was a great session. All right, guys. Bye bye.
Yeah, sure. Thanks a lot.